This is Dunc Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Bovada, the gambling odds makers that we often refer to here on Dunc Holder. Well, I'll refer to any odds maker because they always intrigue me. I don't care if it's just some phony baloney guy, but we always get stuff from Bovada. I've referenced them many, many years and some columns that I've written, and they've sent out their latest odds of who will win the Super Bowl as we're a week through free agency. So, of course, hey, if you win free agency, your odds might get better. But as of right now, the New England Patriots are still the favorite, followed by the Eagles, Vikings, Steelers. The Packers have dropped to 14-1. The Rams are 14-1. The Saints are 18-1. But jumping from 20-1 above the Saints now at 14-1, so they're even with the Rams and the Packers. Jeff, take a guess who this could be.
Good gosh, I don't know. 49ers?
Yes. The San Francisco 49ers.
Jimmy G.
14-1. A better odds than the Saints, according to Bovada.
Is that, you think, in response to their offseason? They've had a lot. I know they've made a lot of free agent moves, right? Richard Sherman. What else?
I'm trying to think. Well, obviously they got to.
We should know these things, but I don't.
Well, we don't cover the 49ers every day. I might as well look it up, see what they've done. I mean, if they've been that drastic of moves.
Richard Sherman stands out, but there's another one we're leaving out, I think. But anyway, point is, that is surprising to me. They would leap that high, but I mean they were undefeated with Garoppolo at quarterback, and they've got a ton of draft picks.
I've got the list.
Okay, read it.
So they've signed punter Jeff Locke.
Oh, that's over the top. Oh yeah,
cornerback Richard Sherman. Offensive guard Jonathan Cooper.
Edge, he was a bust.
Jerry Atachu.
He was in my free agent wish list because I thought he might be he could rebound and you can get him for cheap, but they got him.
Jerick McKinnon.
And he's replacing Carlos Hyde.
And Weston Richburg.
Who's a solid center.
That's it.
I think they're banking on that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be all world. I think that's what these odds are banking on.
And here's who they've lost. Logan Paulson to the Falcons. Tank Carradine to the Raiders. Brandon Fusco to the Falcons, Aaron Lynch to the Bears, and Carlos Hyde to the Browns.
I don't think that's enough to vault them over the Saints, in my opinion.
I don't think so either.
By any means. I have a professed Jimmy Garoppolo man crush. There's no doubt. But
this is years you've had this. Years.
I think he's very good, but he's not that good. He's not Drew Brees. He's the heir apparent of Drew Brees, and I think he's exactly the kind of quarterback that fits Sean Payton's system. Gets the ball out quick, makes quick decisions, is accurate.
Went to Eastern Illinois.
Yeah, that's a good point. But he does. He's exactly what Sean Payton wants at quarterback. So that's why I always scoff when I hear some of these other fits that people bring up coming in here. Savage is a very similar kind of quarterback in some ways, but not enough to overtake the Saints, who, let's face it, the Saints core, other than Breeze and say Cam Jordan and Mark Ingram, they're all first and second year players. I mean, they should only continue to be better as they reach their prime. I mean, the prime in the NFL is like 25 years old.
The Vikings are 9-1. They leaped to third. They jumped the Packers. They jumped the Steelers. So they're certainly banking on Kirk Cousins being an upgrade over Case Keenum. How much of an upgrade do you think he is? We haven't really debated that because we've been so involved in Saints stuff, but do you think Kirk Cousins is that much of an upgrade over Case Keenum? I don't know if I'm totally sold that he is like this gigantically better player than Keenum.
I'm with you. I think he's probably, most people would say he's an upgrade, but I think what Minnesota did with Case Keenum, I actually understand it. I mean, you're trying to find lightning in a bottle a second year. Keenum kind of had everything go his way. Now everybody's going to have an off season to break him down, and I think they sold at the right time on him. Got what they could out of him, no expectations. And Cousins doesn't have to be a superstar. He can be what he was in Washington, which is more than good enough, I think, for Minnesota with that defense they've got and that home field advantage. And you assume they're going to be okay running the ball with Dalvin Cook coming back. I mean, they did all last year without their star rookie running back.
And think about the Vikings. They signed Sheldon Richardson, so they've gotten better up front than what they had.
Yes, no, I agree. So I think the NFC is, man, it's going to be bearish. There's really not a lot of margin for error, although I do think the NFC South, I don't know. I think the Saints are clear front runners in the NFC South. I mean, I may be wrong. I don't like, we've talked about it before, I don't like what Carolina's doing. I don't even know what the plan is there.
What have the Falcons done?
The Falcons have done nothing hardly. They've been really kind of sitting still. So I don't know. But that might not be a bad thing, that they're not overspending in free agency. Tampa Bay, they seem rudderless to me. I keep waiting. Everybody keeps saying
Jason Pierre-Paul's not doing it for you?
No, I mean, I like the addition. I think it's a very good addition, especially for that team. They have no pass rush. All of a sudden,
they were bad.
But they lost the Spence kid last year, and he was like supposed to be their big pass rusher. And once he went out, they had no one, really. I mean, everybody just double-teamed Gerald McCoy, and it was easy to block him.
And you look at these odds, the Eagles, Vikings, Packers, Rams, 49ers, they basically have the Saints as the sixth best team in the NFC. This is according to odds makers, which, look, I know that doesn't tell the whole story, but odds makers aren't typically idiots. There's a reason why they keep having money and you keep losing.
Yeah, well, but lots of times it is a little misleading. I don't think that's right to say they think they're the sixth best team. What they're saying is they think that's what the public thinks. And so they're just trying to get the betting public to bet so they can collect the vigorish or the juice and make as much money as they can.
Who are the top three?
The top three are the Patriots, Eagles, and Vikings.
So
Steelers are fourth.
So basically they're taking last year's AFC champion, NFC champion, NFC runner-up, and a team that got shellacked on its home field to a Jacksonville team that probably had no business whipping them like that.
Did you use the word shellac?
Shellac. Yes, I did.
People use that word?
Boom shakalaka.
Yes, NBA Jam. I mean, are we completely surprised? And I mean, that was going to be my other question on the back end of this is seeing now, because we really haven't talked about a lot of the other moves that the rest of the teams have been making, or the ones that you would imagine to want to take a shot at potentially being in the Super Bowl next year. I mean, are the Saints in there? Are we talking about the Rams? Are we talking about the Eagles? Maybe the Vikings? Or because you're right, like other AFC teams outside of the Browns, aren't really doing a whole lot, as if they don't feel like they need to do a whole lot.
Well, I think the Texans have made some moves.
Yeah,
Jacksonville's made some moves. Oakland, obviously Denver. Denver's their odds have jumped a good bit from 33-1 to 25-1 since they got Case Keenum, and they feel like they've got a viable quarterback now. So, look, I think the Saints are primed to make a run. I think we all know that.
What are the Texans' odds?
22-1.
That's a good bet. Let's take all of our money, pool it together, and bet on the Tech. I think they're
have them to win the Super Bowl.
I think they're a great Super Bowl bet next year. Deshaun Watson will be back. They get Watt back. They've done. Who do they bring in at corner?
Aaron Colvin.
Brought
Tyrann Mathieu
in.
The secondary's certainly better.
They're going to be
brought back Jonathan Joseph, who's kind of their veteran stalwart, who's I think can still play.
But they have a problem, right? They still haven't solved left tackle. Am I wrong about that? They were interested in Nate Solder. Didn't happen.
They missed on him.
Yeah, they missed. Yeah.
Didn't want to pay that much. To me, they've got to shore up their offensive line because they want to run the ball, of course. But
and then he goes to Jacksonville. Solder does, right?
Right.
Yeah. So.
No. Nate Solder went. I thought he went to the Giants. Am I wrong?
Solder went to the Giants.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Solder went to the Giants, and I was trying to think about who else went to
the Jags.
The Jags.
Andrew Norwell.
Yes.
Big guard
from Carolina.
Yeah, because they actually have good tackles in Jacksonville now because they got the kid from Auburn, right?
Yeah.
Or Alabama, Cam Robinson. Yeah, so they're fine. They're fine up front with Leonard Fournette.
Who wins the AFC South then? Do you think the Texans will be the overwhelming favorite going into?
Well, they're even with Jacksonville for this thing at 22-1. Let me see where
Titans.
The Titans are 50-1. They're way, way down the list. And then Indianapolis is 60-1.
Oh, and by the way, word on the street around the NFL is it sounds like the Rams are kind of perceived favorites for Ndamukong Suh.
That's what I've always gathered because they think the Aaron Donald-Suh combo will get it done. We'll see. Suh reportedly canceled his visit with the Raiders, so it's kind of a three-team race: Tennessee, the Saints, and the Rams. So hour number 1 is up. Hour number 2 is on the way. Coming back top of the hour, we'll have Joe Christopek from the Fairgrounds Talk Louisiana Derby. You'll also hear from Saints and Pelicans team president Dennis Lauscha on his thoughts on the stability